Technique 40. Sweat the details. So, I bought shoes from a drug dealer once. I don't know what he laced them with, but I was tripping all day. In any environment, countless apparently minor details signal the expectations for conduct and behavior to students. Even if students don't recognize that they are responding to the environment, the way that they perceive the environment is the way that they will treat it. Students who perceive their environment to be orderly and safe will act to preserve it, not degrade it. The idea behind Sweat the Details is that to reach the highest standards in your classroom, you must create the perception of order. In order to create this perception, you should do things like make sure that rows are kept tidy, make sure that you clean up clutter at the end of each class period, make sure that students have their hats off and their phones in their pockets, because this will decrease the likelihood that you'll have to deal with more serious issues, because you will decrease students' perception that those things might be permissible. If students think the front line of their struggle to test the rules is seeing what color socks they can get away with under uniform guidelines, they are far less likely to consider other ways of testing the rules. The fundamental concept behind this technique is that if you sweat the details, if you sweat the small stuff, the big stuff never has a chance to materialize. The key to sweat the details is in preparation. Planning for orderliness means putting systems in place in advance that make accomplishing the goal quick and easy. There are 5 things that I recommend that you do to help you achieve success with this technique. The first thing that I recommend is to put your students in rows. And in order to keep these rows tidy and organized, try putting tape marks on the floor so you can instruct students to check their desks and move them onto their marks. Make sure that students see that homework is important. Make sure that it is done neatly and tidily. In order to achieve this, give students a homework standards rubric and frequently collect assignments one at a time from each student's desk. This way you can give them brief individual feedback on the neatness as you circulate. This will eliminate the anonymity of turning in homework and make students feel personally accountable. My philosophy is that if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to keep. So, I make sure that my students neatly put their materials in their binders and never lose them. So, I recommend that you put materials in binders in a group, maybe the first 50 times, teaching the students how to do it as you go. So you'll say something like, we're going to put these at the front of your vocabulary section. Get ready, and we'll open our binders on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. If you want your students to work carefully at their seats, you can't sit in yours. You've got to circulate as they work, offering brief corrections as you go. If we want our students to raise their hands quietly and crisply in order to foster orderly participation, we have to teach them how to raise their hands and remind them how we raise our hands here frequently. You have to make sure that students know that one hand goes up and that they wait quietly sitting in their chair until you call upon them. Many of these techniques seem like Classroom 101. However, in planning these kinds of actions, you'll not only solve persistent low-level issues that plague classrooms, but you will change students' perceptions about your classroom, making it seem an orderly and organized place where it's hard to imagine disorder rearing its head. When students perceive their environment as orderly and safe, they'll work to preserve that. Even the smallest of details can signal the expectations for behavior. In a classroom, if we create order, students will receive the message that disruptions are not permitted here. When you sweat the small stuff, when you clean up clutter, keep desk rows tidy, and hats off, you will decrease the likelihood that students see disruption as an option. Sweat the details so you don't have to sweat the big picture.